Hey guys, it's Nurse Gwenny. How many of you have ever said when giving a tetanus shot, "Ooh, I gotta give a life-saving tetanus," and kind of made fun of how silly it is to give this shot to all of our trauma patients, or really anyone with even so much as a scrape? Well, I used to say it, and let me tell you what, I changed my mind when I was working in a resource-limited country a few years ago, and I saw someone actively dying of tetanus. It is a horrific death that I wouldn't wish on anyone. So what is tetanus? Tetanus is a bacterial infection caused by a bacteria called clostridium tetani. And what it does is that bacteria, as it reproduces, once it's in a wound or something, it releases two toxins. One of them is called tetanospasmin, and that's what binds to those neuromuscular junctions and cause that unopposed muscle rigidity. And so those neuromuscular junctions just cause those muscles to flex all the time, and that's where we get that classic lock jaw is usually the first symptom, and then we get the global extension of all of the joints and contraction of all of those muscles. It also releases, the other toxin is called the tetanolysin, and it's really poorly understood as to the effects that it has in the system. But another thing that happens in tetanus is unopposed hypersympathetic reaction, and so that's what gives our patients hypertension and fever, and these patients just have a wild hypersympathetic activity. So what are some of those symptoms? Well, like I said, they'll have fever, they'll have that muscle rigidity, and they lose their ability to maintain their airway control because they can't control that diaphragm to pull air in. So what's the treatment? Essentially, it's symptom management. So of course we're going to control these patients' airway. We're going to give benzos, muscle relaxants. Sometimes we even just give paralytic drips to keep them paralyzed, to keep them from flexing so hard. And unfortunately, there's no cure for this because once those toxins release and bind to those neuromuscular junctions, that is permanent. So we can manage their airway all day long and then manage their symptoms, and we can kill off that bacterial infection, but those toxins are permanent. So why do we make fun of it here in the United States if it's so so serious? It's because it's rare here, because you and I do give a lot of tetanus shots, and that's why it's so important for us to give those tetanus shots. So this tetanus infections happen most commonly in resource-depleted areas where they don't have access to those vaccinations, and unfortunately, those places typically don't have the critical care to take care of these patients either. So now you know, next time you give a life-saving tetanus, it really is life-saving. Also, don't mind my hair. It's raining here today, so there's just no hope of anything happening with my hair.